Hey everybody, welcome. It is time for a late night edition of video game pickups for the month of February 2022. We got a little mix of stuff here. You'll notice a theme as we go through it, but let's just start off with. Actually, there's three for this system, so maybe I'll just grab all three of those at once. Starting off with something very silly and dumb and stupid. Unnecessary Roughness 95, just a dumb little football game that I've never seen before. Accolade. I've seen Accolade's other stuff for their sports games and stuff on the Genesis, but I literally never seen this before. Gotta love that it's 94 or 95, and they only have the Players Association license and not the NFL license, so that's a good sign. I don't really have a whole high expectations for this. I just thought it was silly. It also there's a movie that has Larry Miller in it. I think Scott. Oh my god. Scott, oh my god, Quantum Leap guy in it. Scott Bakula, I think, is in it, called Necessary Roughness, and I always think of it when I hear the phrase used in football games and stuff. Yeah, Scott Bakula, I think, is in it. Very funny. Dumb little game to just grab real quick. We're off to a good start. I can't remember the name of the people of references I was going to make. Always good. We get two other Genesis games. These are both boxed EA games, oddly enough. I'm not doing my camera correctly. It's late. I don't know. I thought I had the energy to do this. I have the energy, but I don't have the focus to do it correctly. First of all, Crue Ball, which has actually been on my list for a long time. This is Motley Crew Pinball from EA, and this is a nice complete edition here. Good box. And got a Dr. Feelgood sticker and everything, and just cool stuff. Good. I wonder. I think it's very reminiscent of some of Naxat. No, it's by New Effects, so it's not by Naxat, but some of it with the heavy metal imagery and stuff does boast a little bit of similarity to Devil's Crush and stuff, which is always fun. And then we also have to go with my. I knew I wasn't gonna get the complete edition, which has the encyclopedia and stuff for this, but it is cool to see where in the world is Carmen Sandiego, and at the very least get a nice, regular plastic case copy. This still would have had another outer box that would contain an almanac. It says includes the World Almanac and Book of Facts, but we do have the nice detective's manual included in the box, which is very cool. EA would have done a lot of this stuff similarly for their PC releases, but this is the Genesis. It also had I assume there was a Super Nintendo release for this one as well, because I know Where in Time had one, and I think Where in Time also had an NES release. But I have this. I have Where in Time fully complete with the encyclopedia, and at the very least I have this with the outer box and the cool manual. Keep going. This is a weird one because this is a game that I hadn't really thought much about until really earlier this week, and that's funny because you'll see with other stuff that I've picked up that I've been on a little bit of a Star Wars kick, especially just buying a lot of the ones that I don't already have. And Star Wars Episode 1 Obi-Wan's Adventures, which is a Game Boy Color exclusive based on Episode 1. But I saw it in Triple Jump's video ranking all of the Star Wars games from worst to best, which I've now watched all the way through twice, and I've checked rankings on a bunch of games a couple times just for reference. And this one was surprisingly high up. It looks really cool. It's got this isometric viewpoint with some platforming, and they said the platforming was surprisingly good for being on the Game Boy Color, and the animation. The actual graphics are really, really rough, but the animation was surprisingly good to make up for it. It seems like it makes the game really pleasant to play in spite of it. I think they sacrificed that to make the game pleasant, like a good smooth experience, which is very, very weird. It really, really got my interest, and we had this. I got a box copy. I have a surprising number of box copy Game Boy games, more than I ever thought I would go after, but We had this at work, and it was like the only copy of it I'd ever really seen, and it was still there, so I decided to pick that one up. We got a couple of portable titles here. This, I finally talked myself into getting a version of Ocarina of Time for the 3DS. This, I always figured I should have it because it's the enhanced version of this game. And I may open this at one point, but this is a sealed copy of Ocarina of Time 3D. That is the UAE, Saudi Arabia, and other areas of Asia. There's an weird Asian NTSC release that I've seen a couple of copies of stuff like this. It's fairly common, but this has a different cover on it. I really love this cover, so this was my like you can buy this and have another version of Ocarina of Time because you have something a little bit different. So that was my like allowing myself to get it was this version. And they have 2 DS games. They're both really weird ones actually for DS, because this is actually Kirby's Canvas Curse, a Japanese copy. Canvas Curse is one of the only Kirby main series games I don't have. And I saw this one for like less than $20, whereas a complete of regular Canvas Curse is continuing to go up. So it's an adorable little cover, and it wasn't one that I had a huge interest in. So I figured that was a good way to add that in. And I finally pulled the trigger on this stupid, not good sequel to the original TNA wrestling game, which a game I've owned for years now, and I think I need to play it all the time, and I've never really sat down and played it. But I did buy this, what I understand is not a good version, follow-up game from like a year later. Yes, that's Hulk Hogan front and center, because they were paying Hulk Hogan and Eric Bischoff to head up creative and put their names on the company and try to get more people interested. So yeah, this is a second TNA game that only came out for DS and PSP called TNA Impact Cross the Line. And if you don't know what the cross the line thing means, it's the sort of like really pushing people to cross the line, both literally for wrestlers to come over to the company and also for people to make the attempt to get into TNA as the alternative. It's actually not a bad marketing scheme, but the thing that people always deride TNA for, and always did for a long time, especially during the period where they were the most successful, was the sort of like signing ex-WWE guys. They give AEW the same shit nowadays, and I think it's stupid, but the marketing that infers that you should cross the line, that both wrestlers and fans should cross the line to do so, kind of added fuel to the fire for a lot of the haters of TNA. But one of the interesting things that I thought was about this when I looked at it, basically I pulled the trigger on this because I've never seen it in person up until I actually paid for this copy, and I had thought about it, and I went and I looked it up, and it was like $5 more now than it was the last time I looked it up. And I said, shit, okay, you know what, just get it. It's like $20 now. And the one that made me laugh here, so this was after Mick Foley was in the company, my favorite wrestler of all time, and do not watch his TNA stuff. There's one good match with Sting that I think is weirdly entertaining, but oh my god, Mick in TNA, no. Consequences Creed, when he was a very young, Xavier Woods, very young, who was probably 2 years on in the company, but they have Curry Man in here, but they don't have regular Christopher Daniels, which I feel so bad for Christopher Daniels, that his silly alternate gimmick gets over and gets put in the game, but they didn't just make him and make Curry Man like an alternate version of him or vice versa. Poor Christopher Daniels. But anyway, yeah, I own that now just as a sort of like making sure I own wrestling games. A couple Switch games here. No surprises here. We've got Pokemon Legends Arceus. This might be my new favorite Switch game. It was New Pokemon Snap before, but when I'm playing a game and I can feel sort of the end game coming up, and I keep playing it for hours on end, but making sure that I don't trigger the end game, that I don't make the game be over because I want to keep playing it, and if I feel like if I finish it, then I kind of have to stop playing and move on to another game that of millions of games that I could potentially play, instead of continuing to play this after I finish it. And I have, and I was blown away. Like, this is everything that I wanted from this game. And I haven't played it in about a week, but I was playing it really, really consistently. And I'm just dying for DLC or any kind of content update on this game, like they did for Pokemon Snap or they did for Mario Golf, anything like that. And there's an announcement coming this week about stuff for Pokemon, so I'm hoping that that's in there. But I adored this game. This is maybe my new favorite Switch game. Oh my god, it was a fantastic experience. And speaking of Pokemon, here's also Monster Crown from Sandiego. So far, I've played a little bit of this so far, and it is a much better Pokemon copy, in my opinion, than Nexomon Extinction was. I think it takes a lot of stuff from, original Pokemon especially, and I really, really dig the graphical style in this game. It is full-on, like, GameBoy Color graphics, and it looks really, really nice. I think it actually tries to simplify a lot of the stuff that Pokemon does, because I think it knows that if it does things that are equally or more complicated than Pokemon, it will turn people away from it too fast, and I appreciate that about it, because I'm not about to get, like, really heavily in-depth familiar with Monster Crown. I'm just playing it as a sort of, like, see what they can do differently. The real downside to it, you can buy this right now for under $20 on, like, Amazon, and it's because it's still, oddly enough, a work in progress. They're still patching it to make it run like a game like this probably feels like it should run when it comes out, but it's weirdly jittery and it weirdly soft locks. It's a tough experience to have right now, but I grabbed it because it's pretty cheap right now and still a fun little game. I'd say it's worth $20. It's definitely worth $20 if it doesn't have the hiccups that it does. So definitely look into this one if you want a Pokemon clone. And then lastly, I knew I was going to. I kind of regret buying this so early. Hot Wheels Unleashed. I had heard really good things. It is a solid, and it seems like a decently, like, content-rich Hot Wheels racing game, and I've always liked Hot Wheels for their games. But I've played a little bit of this, and it's not really hooking me in, so I did regret a little bit that I paid for it when it was still almost full price. But I just felt like I really wanted to play it. I'll probably come back to it at some point. Definitely give it a try if you like the Hot Wheels stuff in the past too, but don't rush out and get it just yet. A couple PS4 and one PS5 game. This is Beyond a Steel Sky, long, like 20 years on sequel to, or 20, almost 30 year sequel to Beneath the Steel Sky, I think. This comes with a cool Steelbook version right here. It's called a Beyond a Steelbook edition, which is good. I'm glad you called it that on the packaging. I really like that. And yeah, just a really pretty, really cool sort of point and click adventure that I look forward to getting into eventually. And then a couple of PS4 games. This is A Way Out. This is actually the first game from Hazelight Studio, who did It Takes Two, and it's a much more darker and more serious. It's about like a prison break, but there's a lot of variety in the gameplay in their games, and I really liked It Takes Two. My partner and I played it. We really, really liked it, so I'm looking forward to actually trying this out and seeing their first game, essentially, and what they did and what they'll do differently on their first try as opposed to the one that we have played. Everybody's Golf VR. This went on sale for like $10 on Amazon, and I already own this digitally because I paid about that much for it digitally. And I just eventually, $10 is not a bad price to pay for the physical, so just made sure to hop on that. And another Star Wars game here. This is Vader Immortal. This is a retail version of Vader Immortal. You can get this for like $25. I've heard that this is not the longest or most content-rich Star Wars game, but it does look really cool and is a really impressive experience. Like a lot of VR games are. They're not they're not hours on end because you couldn't play it for hours on end, and it's just a really short and satisfying experience. So I'm looking forward to popping this in and getting that 2 to 3 hours of a really cool Vader focused experience out of it, and then having this in my collection because it's a cool looking game. And then lastly, when we're getting into the real Star Wars stuff, I made quite the purchase of Star Wars games. This is some really cool stuff, and I was so surprised that these games were not that expensive. So I just, knowing that and seeing them in front of me, I just had to have them because these are just a bunch of like the coolest games. This stuff that I own a PC for, in theory, playing, or the stuff that essentially would make up what I would want a PC collection to be for myself. So this is really taking care of all of that. So 3 games here, or three packages essentially. The first one is Jedi Knight Dark Forces 2. I believe these are all 1998 or 99 reprints, which is why they all have this not for individual sale sticker on them. I don't know what release that would have been. That would make these all like individually released in the big boxes, but like still in a package. But these are really awesome anyway. So I played a little bit of Dark Forces. Dark Forces is explicitly a Doom clone, and this is where it starts to move forward a little bit. I've actually asked other people. This seems to be maybe the best in the series. This or Jedi Outcast, which I've been playing a little bit on the Switch. But this is the one that I have no access to in any console form, so this is pretty cool. It's the one I know the least about, and I will hopefully be able to play Mysteries of the Sith, which is one of the things that's in here. This is sort of basically keeps me from having to buy individually a lot of Star Wars games that I may or may not be able to play off of discs anyway. Lucasarts Archives Collections Volume 2. So this is Volume 2 and Volume 4, and it makes it the Star Wars Collection 1 and the Star Wars Collection 2. The other ones have their point-and-click stuff in it. Starting with Collection 1, Archives Volume 2. Now these are inside of the packaging. These are all just like loose discs. They're on their spindles and stuff, so maybe they don't get as much individual packaging. But like this, for the amount of space, you still get these nice, really cool looking big boxes, and you get to cover all this ground for Star Wars stuff. This golden era of Star Wars games that I really, really appreciate. So what we have essentially, we've got Rebel Assault. We got Rebel Assault 2. That's on these 2 discs. That's, of course, the first experience I ever had with Star Wars was Rebel Assault 2. So that game holds a special place for me, for sure, just like Two Towers does for Lord of the Rings. Dark Forces, which I think is this one. This Dark Forces is a demo version. This is only 3 levels. And then we have TIE Fighter. That's full edition of TIE Fighter. And then we have Star Wars Making the Magic, which is probably something you can watch somebody go through like on YouTube, but whatever. So that is, that's essentially 4 games, three of which are full versions. That TIE Fighters, that's really cool. And then on this one, this also has the full edition of TIE Fighter. Star Wars Collection 2 here we have X-Wing. So this is X-Wing and X-Wing versus TIE Fighter. Yeah, all on one CD. Obviously, X-Wing versus TIE Fighter... X-Wing versus TIE Fighter Flight School. So the thing about that is that the balance of power missions for X-Wing TIE Fighter, those are the single player missions, so there's not really a whole lot I can do with that part, but it does have X-Wing there on the disc. So full version of TIE Fighter, of Dark Forces, of X-Wing, of Yoda Stories. Yeah, not a big deal. Also Making the Magic is on this, so this is Yoda Stories and Making the Magic. X-Wing TIE Fighter, Dark Forces, TIE Fighter, and then these are bonus level versions, or three level versions of Jedi Knight 2, which I already have in that big box there, and of Jedi Knight 2's expansion, Mysteries of the Sith, where you get to play as Mara Jade. Again, only 3 levels, a little bit of a bummer. But when you buy these on GOG, which I'm very, very likely to do to get more accessible, playable versions of Jedi Knight 2 and Mysteries of the Sith, for $6 on GOG, which I'll probably pull the trigger on soon, even if I technically want to wait for sales. So I buy them when they're cheap. That's an amazing deal. You get that game and its expansion pack for $6. That comes with it. So these just are some of the most, like, just, they look the coolest, man. I really had to have these. I assumed that these were going to be, $80, $100, because I don't know. And I assume that, okay, so this is one package, and even if these games are $40, $50, $60, which they're not, like, in these versions, these were $25 each. These are not expensive. I was blown away. Because these just look amazing, and these are the games that I would buy for big box PC games. I don't have the space for those, but, like, this is the stuff that I would make the space for. And then, like I said, I can't really run these on the computer that I'm recording on or on my Mac. That's just not going to happen. But to spend $25 a piece on each of these, and then be able to get the playable versions for $6, $10 at full price on GOG, that's more than worth it to have both playable versions and physical versions. I'm going to say that all the time when I buy PC games. That's how I'll buy them. God, these are... I just keep looking at these because I just think they're so cool. But yeah, that's the big grand finale there for this month on pickups. Thank you for watching. I started Castlevania Legacy of Darkness on Friday yesterday, and I haven't played it at all today since I worked today, obviously. So I'll probably try to play more of that before we head back into streaming that. And that's where we're at. We're started on the N64 quest in the year 2000. So with that, I thank you for watching this, and peace out.